Will you pray with me? Gracious God, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Well, here we are, third Sunday of Easter, with more stories of the resurrection. I know that for many of us, Easter Sunday feels like eons ago. And we marked that miraculous moment with glorious worship and shouts of Christ is risen. And then life has a way of going back to normal, doesn't it? Overscheduled days and laundry that needs washing and cars that need repairing, bills that need being paid. Oh, and just for fun, an earthquake and a solar eclipse. Our faith tells us that the resurrection changed everything, but our life often tells us otherwise. The earth keeps spinning on its axis, just as it always does. And we are left with that perpetual question asked by Christians for millennia: what does the resurrection really change? I mean, why does it matter? These questions were top of mind for the folks who were telling and retelling these stories in the years after Jesus' death, folks like Luke's community. The early days around that first Easter Sunday were filled with odd sightings and strange rumors and close encounters with the risen Christ that challenged everything they believed about life and death. When we read these stories, and the last chapters of all four Gospels are filled with them, we see all the various ways that this unexpected, unexplainable event kind of broke into their lives. It was clear that Jesus was now different and yet still the same. Supernatural, walking through walls and locked doors and suddenly appearing and disappearing, yet still touchable. Touch my hands and feet, he says. I'm not a ghost. I've got flesh and bones. And by the way, do you have anything good to eat around here? That is actually the detail I love best in this story. The miraculous Christ, transformed, transcendent, defying the laws of physics, is hungry. It's kind of understandable. His last decent meal was at the Passover Seder Thursday night. And he's been through a lot since then. No wonder he's famished. But isn't that also really strange? Such a basic bodily thing for someone to feel who has broken all the rules of what it means to have a body. But this weird little detail isn't just an aside for Luke. It's a key point. Even though Jesus seems to have slipped this mortal coil, the one that we are all still stuck with, his body still matters. So let's hold that thought for a moment and go back to that earlier age-old question about the resurrection. So we know that was a really hot topic for the early Christians, not just in the immediate aftermath, but for centuries to follow. Big theological debates started raging about Jesus' true nature. High Christologies emerged, meaning folks began to see Jesus not as an earthly Messiah, but as the divine Logos, present with God at the creation of the universe. They started to see Christ and God as one entity, which then led to bigger questions like, was Jesus already God from the get-go? Or was he human first and then God? Or did he turn into God at the resurrection? All these sophisticated doctrines emerged, and the theological implications were endless and rather abstract. We can thank the Greek philosophers for a lot of this, for they had a big influence on those early Christian thinkers, especially when it came to the division between matter, the earthy stuff, and spirit, the heady stuff. According to Plato and Aristotle, the mind is far superior to the body, which literally just drags us down. To them, our bodies are cages that keep us enthralled to base urges, and the more we transcend them, the closer we are to God. This division between spirit good and body bad found its way into the classic philosophical view of men and women. You see, men were seen as intellectual, leading with their minds. And women, well, we've got these bodies that are tied to moon cycles and fleshy stuff. So we have no place in elevated religious life or thought. Better to keep us focused on what we do best, making food, making babies, and leave the really important stuff to the men. After all, our bodies don't really matter. And 2,000 years of patriarchal church doctrine, and I want to say current political healthcare policies, flow out of that. And that is why this detail from Luke's resurrection story leaps out. For the risen Christ, standing in that upper room with his friends, is not just some ethereal spirit hovering over the dinner table. He is embodied. He's got scars and flesh and bones and an appetite. And he wants them to know that, to really know that. The resurrection experience, he shows us, is not just heady stuff. It's human stuff, which in turn makes human stuff good stuff. Just like God made a big splash into our human lives at Christmas, embodying a tiny baby to remind us that God is not out there somewhere, the Easter miracle is the bookend to that. Even after raising Jesus in defiance of the power of death, God is saying, I'm still with you now. I haven't escaped my body or the pain and scars that it bears. I've hallowed it. So you can know that your body and your pain and your scars are hallowed too. Your bodies matter. Our bodies matter. Our human experiences, the messy and miraculous, frustrating and phenomenal, brilliant and biological, they all matter. They are not impediments to getting close to God. They're how we do it. And that doesn't just go for us humans, it spills into all creation. From the very first words of our origin story in Genesis, God looks around at the stars and the sea and the creatures and crustaceans and the pomegranates and the people and says, this is good, very good. I see myself in you. So the best way to show me you love me is to take care of each other. Plants and animals, help these humans out. Humans, return the favor. Create communities that honor me by honoring each other. For if we believe that there is divine power in a single body, then it is truly magnified when we all come together. It's how religion got started before there were doctrines or temples or churches. Folks gathering around a fire or by a river or under the stars to enact what it means to be made in the image of God together. Fast forward 24 millennia or so, and here we are today doing the very same thing, right here. Telling stories and sharing food and singing and laughing and caring and trying to live out God's main rule, loving one another. And we cannot do that without our bodies. It's not the same on a screen. It's not the same on an app. In this post-pandemic world, when so much of our lives have shifted to screens, it's true we have gained a lot of convenience, a lot of accessibility, but also lost some of the magic of being together. But please do not understand me, and I'm talking to you folks on Facebook Live right now. We are profoundly grateful for the technology that allows us to share worship with you in this space, in the virtual space. And we are profoundly blessed to have each one of you on the live stream right now with us. If you are sick or traveling or home with the baby, or you've moved away and you just can't quit us and you know who you are, it is an amazing gift that we can share this time together. But we also know, for you and for us, it's not quite the same. We miss having you together with us in this sanctuary in real time. Singing together, even if off key. Passing the peace with endless hugs. Laughing with delight when the kids keep it real with Rev Karma. Having an extra slice of Darren's epic lasagna at coffee hour. All of these little things, all these times of touch and taste and togetherness, they all matter for our bodies and our souls. It's why we describe Christianity as a we religion. No one follows Jesus all by themselves. Wherever he went, he created communities They could be as small as 2 or 3, or as big as the thousands that crowded on the hillside. And some people in those communities got antsy or cranky or hangry when they were together. And Jesus took care of that with a couple of handy miracles that fed their bodies. And every time he does that, he reminds us that we are not just ethereal spirits seeking wisdom or transcendence. We are bodies in need of touch and care and food. It's how we are made, and to quote God, it's very good. And we can affirm that to each other through each other. Because it's in community, when we work out through our messy humanness, how we can live like we really are made in the image of God together. This morning, right after worship, we will be having the first session of our spring new member class. And unlike the last 4 years when almost all the classes were online, we will be having this first one in person, face-to-face, right here on the Labyrinth. Of all the wonderful gatherings in this church, the first Sunday of a new member class ranks right near the top for me. I am constantly humbled and amazed and inspired by the folks who find us. Many of you are right here, right now. And those who share their stories and their questions and their doubts and still want to be a part of us anyway. Joining a church these days is a fairly countercultural thing to do, let me tell you. We live in an increasingly isolated world where committing to a group of people, promising to show up, to care for each other and learn from each other and walk with each other is so rare. And it's so much easier just to remain cynical and keep each other at arm's length and pretend we can do it all alone. But here in this place, we take a chance on trust and grace and love in real time with real people, eye to eye and hand to hand. And when we choose that, something miraculous happens. We witness the resurrection. We witness a broken body rising again. We witness a community of fear becoming a community of hope. We are witnesses to all these things. And it's not easy, and I promise you it will feel awkward and risky at times, but I also promise you it is transformational. So at the risk of sounding like an infomercial, or worse yet, an altar call, if you have been wondering what God is doing in the midst of this beautiful human messiness right here, we would love for you to stay for that conversation today. We don't claim to have answers, but we will celebrate the questions. We won't be able to shorten your to-do list or take away that pile of laundry or change the tilt of the world on its axis. But we will be part of a resurrection story that reminds us just how miraculous the gift of life really is. Wounds, scars, appetites included. And we will magnify it together. And that is about the best news there is this side of heaven. So let's tell it, let's live it, let's walk it together, hand in hand. May it be so.